Good evening, my friend. I'm Dr. William Hart, and if you're hearing these words in a quiet room with the lights dimmed and everything slowing down, then perhaps you're like millions of people over 60 quietly wondering, why can't I sleep the way I used to? Have you ever lain in bed, eyes wide open in the dark, listening to the ticking clock while your mind spins in circles? Some nights, I find myself waking at 3 a.m. not because of a noise, not because of pain, but because my mind simply refuses to rest. I toss and turn, left pillow, right pillow. One half of me is exhausted. The other half is holding an emergency meeting about all the things left undone, the people I worry about, and the odd memories surfacing out of nowhere in the middle of the night. As a geriatric doctor, I've heard hundreds of stories just like this. But there's one thing I've learned after over 30 years in practice. Sleep is not just rest. Deep sleep especially is how your brain heals. We live in a society that celebrates alertness, productivity, and busyness. But very few people will tell you this. Sleeping well after 60 is not automatic. It's a skill, and that skill can be relearned starting from the smallest habits. And tonight, I want to share with you that very skill. Not through expensive sleeping pills, not through miracle ads promising 8 hours in one capsule, but through gentle understanding, real-life stories, and things you can apply starting tonight to invite back a deep healing, peaceful sleep. Are you ready? Then let's begin. Slowly, gently, like the way a restful night begins with a deep breath and a soft gaze toward yourself. My dear friend, when we were younger, sleep came naturally. Maybe you fell asleep on the couch during a movie, or stayed up all night and slept in the next morning, no problem. But after 60, things begin to change. I remember a patient, Mr. Raymond, 68, who once told me during a routine checkup, "Doctor, I'm not afraid of aging. I'm afraid of that feeling of waking up with a foggy head, heart racing, limbs trembling, like I never actually slept." And I knew exactly what he meant. After 60, our brains don't produce melatonin, the sleep hormone, as abundantly as before. The deep sleep stages where the brain repairs memories consolidate and emotions are rebalanced become shorter, even vanish if we don't know how to support them. I often compare deep sleep to an invisible janitor working quietly in the dark. When you enter deep sleep, your brain cells clean up, flushing out toxic proteins, like beta amyloid linked to Alzheimer's disease. Your immune system resets, helping reduce inflammation and prevent chronic disease. And most importantly, your memory strengthens, emotions stabilize, so you wake up not just refreshed, but grounded. A good night's sleep doesn't just mean you didn't wake up. It means you open your eyes in the morning and feel like yourself again. Not groggy, not disoriented, not dragging. And that's not wishful thinking. I've walked with countless patients, from chronic insomniacs to those fearing early dementia. And I've realized something. We can't turn back time, but we can restore our sleep. How? Not through strong sleeping pills, but by starting with the small things: a gentle pre-sleep ritual, the right kind of light, slow, deep breathing. And I'll tell you more in the next part. But before we move on, I want to ask, how did you sleep last night? Did you wake in the middle of the night or feel foggy all morning? And do you remember the last dream you had? If you'd like, share your experience in the comments below, because maybe your story could be a quiet reminder for someone else who's listening. Let me tell you about someone special, Helen, age 74. She's a retired librarian living alone in a quiet cottage in Northern California. She loves books. She cherishes silence, but she fears the night. "Doctor," she said to me at our first visit, "I can't even remember the last time I slept through the night." Helen shared how she lay awake for hours each night, listening to the ticking clock, the rustling leaves outside her window. She'd tried prescription pills, herbal teas, essential oil diffusers, but nothing could truly ease the loneliness that the darkness brought. I didn't prescribe her anything. Instead, I asked, "What do you usually do before bed?" She replied, "I read the news, then watch TV. Sometimes I scroll through old photos of my husband and cry." I nodded and gently said, "Perhaps your brain isn't being allowed to rest. It's still worrying, still searching, when really it just needs to breathe and close its eyes." So we began a new journey, no medication. Each evening I suggested a small ritual before bed. Nothing long, nothing complex. Turn off screens at least 1 hour before bedtime. Sip a warm glass of water or plant-based milk. Write down 3 things she felt grateful for. Even simple ones like, "The moon looked beautiful tonight," or "The cat slept beside me." Then place a hand on her chest, breathe deeply, and whisper to herself, "Helen, today is done. Now it's time to rest. At first it felt strange, but she kept trying. By the third week, she returned to my office smiling brightly. I slept straight for 6 hours, no waking, no nightmares, no fear. I didn't dream of my husband, but I dreamed I was walking in the sunshine. It felt so light. I've heard hundreds of stories like this, and every time it deepens my belief. Deep sleep is not a luxury. It's a gift, one we can learn to open again, night after night. If you've ever been like Helen, awake from worry, emptiness, or aging, I want you to remember. Your brain, when cared for with love, still knows how to guide you gently back to peaceful sleep. In the next part, I'll share practical, science-backed tips to improve deep sleep after 60, from lighting and breathing to nutrition that supports rest. And if Helen's story touched your heart, feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. My dear friend, one of the very first things I tell my older patients who struggle with sleep is turn off your screen at least 1 hour before you plan to sleep. It sounds simple, but it's not easy, especially when we're used to lulling ourselves to sleep with the TV, phone, or iPad. But here's a truth many overlook. The blue light from screens is like invisible coffee for your brain. Even just reading the news or looking at old family photos keeps the brain's alert center. The hypothalamus convinced it's still daytime, keep going. This blocks melatonin production, the hormone that helps you enter deep sleep. It keeps your heart rate up, your breathing shallow, and your thoughts tangled in worry. I once asked a 68-year-old patient with chronic insomnia, "What time do you go to bed?" "Around 10 p.m. "And when do you turn off the TV?" "Well, about 9:55. I smiled and gently suggested, "This week, try turning off the TV at 9. No phone, no iPad. Just a soft yellow light, a quiet melody, or your favorite paper book." Think of it as setting the stage for sleep to enter quietly. A week later, he returned, beaming. "I'm sleeping again, doctor. I don't even know why." Just dimming the lights an hour early calmed everything down. My friend, I know turning off screens an hour before bed can feel hard, especially if you live alone. If the TV is your companion, if your kids and grandkids only text or video call. But try to see this as a gift you're offering your brain. Here are a few simple ways to begin. Set a daily sleep mode timer on your phone, a gentle reminder that it's time to unwind. Instead of scrolling, write a short journal entry. Instead of YouTube, listen to soft piano or ambient music. Here is the full English translation of your script, Part 5 through conclusion, continuing in the warm, reflective voice of Dr. William Hart, geriatric specialist. My dear friend, have you ever noticed every child before bedtime has a little ritual? A mother's hug, a lullaby, a warm glass of milk. But what about us adults? Most of us climb into bed with a head full of worries, to-do list, breaking news, and expect sleep to come like flipping a switch. But I believe, especially after 60, sleep, and deep sleep in particular, needs an invitation. And one of the gentlest invitations is a warm cup of chamomile tea or a glass of warm ginger water. Chamomile contains apigenin, an antioxidant that calms the nervous system, gently lowers blood pressure, and supports deeper sleep. Ginger, with its warmth and digestive benefits, helps soothe the stomach, reduce inflammation, and warms the body, a signal to say it's time to rest. I remember Mrs. Rachel, 73 years old, a widow in Oregon. She had trouble sleeping every night, tossing and turning until dawn. One day I asked her, "Do you do anything in the evening to relax just for yourself?" She shook her head and smiled sadly. "I just lie there staring at the ceiling." I gently suggested, "Each night brew a cup of chamomile tea. No need to drink fast. Just sit quietly, hold the cup, and breathe in the aroma. If you like, add a thin slice of ginger." 2 weeks later, she called me, her voice softer than ever. "I feel like I'm being embraced every night now. Not cold anymore. That tea, it makes me feel like I'm still being cared for." You can try this too. 20-30 minutes before bedtime, steep some dried chamomile flowers or a tea bag in warm water. If you don't have chamomile, simply simmer a few slices of fresh ginger and pour into a cup. Drink slowly. No distractions. Just sit and breathe. When done regularly, your brain will start to understand, this is my time to rest. No more worries, no more tasks. Just let go. And gradually, like a child being gently rocked to sleep, you may find that sleep doesn't come late anymore. It comes to you like an old friend who waited all day just to whisper goodnight. I once asked an elderly patient, What do you usually think about right before falling asleep? She sighed and said, the things I didn't get done, the people I didn't call, and the fear that I might forget even more tomorrow. I was silent for a moment. Then I gently said, tonight, before closing your eyes, let's try something different. Write down 3 things you're grateful for today. Write not to remember. Write to tidy up your tangled thoughts. Write to let your brain know today, even if tiring had some beautiful moments. You might write things like, grateful I heard birds singing this morning. Grateful my hands were steady enough to pour tea. Grateful I got a call from my sweet granddaughter. No need for anything grand, just real, and just for you. Why does this simple act help sleep? Because your brain, like a messy desk, if not tidied before you leave, stays cluttered with files, notes, and unfinished work, continuing to process during the night. But when you write 3 lines of gratitude, you're gently closing the mental notebook, adding a soft period to the end of the day. I remember Mr. Joseph, 81, a veteran living alone. He often woke up in the middle of the night restless without knowing why. I gave him a small notebook and said, tonight before bed, write down 3 good things you saw today. If there's nothing big, write that you remembered your own name. 3 weeks later, he returned calmer than ever, doctor. I still wake up at night, but now I know I lived a good day, and I fall back asleep with gratitude. Try this tonight. Keep a notebook and pen by your bed. Before turning off the light, write 3 simple lines. Don't worry about grammar or perfection, just let your heart speak. Treat it like a lullaby for your mind. A soft whisper, today I lived and there are things worth being thankful for. My dear friend, have you noticed when we're anxious, our heart races and so does our breath, shallow, rapid, tight. But when we feel peace, everything slows down, especially our breath. That's why I often tell my patients, if you want your brain to fall asleep peacefully, teach it how to breathe. You don't need to sit cross-legged, no meditation music required, just you in the quiet of your room, hand on your chest, focusing on each breath out and in, slowly. I remember an evening with Mrs. Lucille, 73, with chronic insomnia. She told me that every time she lay down, her thoughts raced like a train, impossible to stop. I didn't prescribe sleep meds. I said to her, tonight before bed, no thinking, no checking your phone. Just place your hand on your belly. Breathe in for a count of 4. Hold for 1 beat. Then exhale slowly for a count of 6. Do this 10 times. The next week she returned smiling gently, doctor. My mind still runs, but now I know how to lull it to sleep with my own breath. Why does this work? It activates your parasympathetic nervous system, calming heart rate and blood pressure. It slows brain waves from alertness to relaxation. It creates a feeling of safety and control, helping you fall asleep and stay asleep. You can try it like this each night. Lights off, lie comfortably. Hand on your belly. Inhale through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pause briefly. Exhale through your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Repeat 10 times or until you feel calm. That's it. No need to be perfect. Just be there with your breath. In a world that rushes and demands your attention, your breath is the one gift that brings you home to yourself. And before bed, there is no better medicine than making peace with your own mind, one gentle breath at a time. If this breathing practice helps you, share your thoughts in the comments. You might just help someone else find the peaceful sleep they have long forgotten. My dear friend, I once joked with a patient, our brains don't wear wristwatches, but they love routines. Many people still think weekends are for catching up on sleep. Stay up late tonight, sleep in tomorrow, it'll balance out. But here's the truth, sleep doesn't work like a savings account. You can't store it up, and you can't repay it later. Once your circadian rhythm, your internal body clock is thrown off, especially after 60, it can take days to reset. Why is this so important? Because your brain has a master clock called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which controls everything from sleep and hormones to body temperature. Every time you shift your bedtime, stay up late, or sleep in, you disrupt this rhythm. Like an orchestra where the conductor shows up late. And when the conductor is late, the music is chaotic. Trouble entering deep sleep, grogginess in the morning, foggy memory during the day, and a restlessness at night. I remember Mr. Edwards, 70, retired. During the week, he slept early and woke early, felt great. But on weekends, when the grandkids visited, he stayed up late and slept in until 9 or 10. After a few weeks, he felt irritable, tired, and had trouble sleeping again at night. I asked, "Do you remember how well you used to sleep?" He nodded. I said, "Let's return to that old schedule, even on Saturday and Sunday." 2 weeks later, he returned with brighter eyes. "Doctor, just keeping a regular sleep time made my mind sharper, and I wake up without feeling drained." You can start like this. Pick a fixed bedtime, say 10 p.m. Set an alarm for the same wake-up time every day, even weekends. If needed, nap during the day, but limit it to 20-30 minutes. Create a simple bedtime ritual. Dim lights, warm, drink. Read a few pages to signal to the brain, it's time. Think of sleep as a loyal friend. They'll arrive on time if you do the same. Try it. Keep a consistent bedtime every day. And after 1 week, come back and share what changed in your mind, your sleep, your memory. When we were younger, sleep felt automatic. Eyes tired. Close them, night falls. Go to bed, simple. But after 60, sleep becomes delicate like spider silk, easily broken by a small noise, delayed by a hidden worry, and in the morning, we no longer feel like ourselves. I've walked with hundreds, even thousands of older adults through this journey, and I've learned something simple but profound. Sleep is the mirror of our inner life. Deep sleep is not just physical rest. It's when the brain restores cells, repair memories, organize, and emotions soften. And the miracle is you don't need pills or pricey therapies. You just need to listen to yourself. Create a gentle evening. Turn sleep into a ritual, not a neglected habit. A warm cup of tea, a quiet melody, 3 lines of gratitude, a slow breath in a dimly lit room, a familiar bedtime. That's all it takes for your brain to trust again. I am safe. I can rest. If you found this video helpful, don't hesitate to share it with someone you love who struggles with sleep. Subscribe to this channel to walk with me on future journeys about memory health and the art of living deeply after 60. And please comment below. Which habit will you try first? Do you have your own bedtime ritual that works? Share it. You might be the reason someone else sleeps better tonight. I'm Dr. William Hart. Thank you for being here and for choosing to love yourself in the smallest, gentlest ways. Wishing you a peaceful night and a mind forever warmed by calm and kindness. See you in the next video. Good night.